The origin of all of this was that so often I would hear parents, friends of mine who had kids, and they would say that when their kids got home from school, they had to deprogram them. That the things they were being taught in school were inconsistent with the principles they were being taught at home. And so that was the first thing. Like, why would you want to have to deprogram your kids? Why would you want to send them to a place where they're being taught principles that are contrary to the principles you're teaching them at home? Particularly if you're looking at they're spending 9 hours at school and a couple of hours with you at home. So that was the first thing. The second thing that they would say, and that I noticed myself just in seeing these kids, is they hated school. No one enjoyed learning. There was an opportunity to help families that wanted to teach good principles and wanted to teach history and wanted their kids to be excited about what they're learning, that there was a way to do that because we lived in an era of the technology that facilitated that. And so we started Amargi Group, myself and other people that have had the experience of learning in this way and learning these things and seeing the effect that it had on them. Not only do they enjoy learning, right, but they were learning the principles that were the principles upon which our entire culture was founded.
His curriculum just it flows, and it's easy to follow, and it's information that sparks fire in me, which helps me teach and spark interest and fire in my children. And it's valuable information that I think has been lost to certainly my generation. Anyone who went to a public school, I never heard of any of it.
I think what's missing in public school is, like I've talked about before, the soul. It's the stories. It's what moves them. It's what makes them want to be better. It's what can make them rise up when situations are hard, because they've read that this person did, or this person was able to do that, so I can do it too. It gives them courage, and it gives them hope that they can change things. They don't have to just settle for how it's always been. So I love that we have stories, that we can sit our children on our laps when they're young and tell them stories about great men and women who've lived, and then they too want to be great.
These things, they touch something inside of you that some fact you read in a textbook is never going to touch that part of you. And so at Amargi Group, once we got to the point where we were seeing that these lessons, the way they're taught, the things that are taught, were appealing to people, we understood that if we can get them into the hands of more people, then we'll have more, as Sam Adams called them, brush fires of liberty, right? That was his thing. We can win this if we just ignite several little brush fires of liberty. We thought, why not? Why not throw the bread on the water? And we're hopeful that mothers who have the primary obligation, obviously, of raising their children, that they will see in this something that comforts them, and they don't have to worry, because so many mothers say, I would love to teach my kids this, but there's no way I can because I don't know it. Or they'll say, I'm not qualified to be a teacher. Well, God thought you were. God thought you were qualified because he sent kids to you. And so I'm hopeful that when they come to us, they exhale a little bit, knowing that their children are going to get these lessons. They don't have to worry about knowing it so much themselves, and they can rely on it because I'm not sitting there presenting my opinion. It's not my personal vlog that they're watching. This is me acting as a telescope through which their kids can see the wonderful things that have been done in the past. And then they will see that their kids ignite, this little brush fire ignites in them. There is no one else teaching this material and teaching it in this classically proven way, right? We're not going to send you a box of textbooks that you can plop down in front of your kids and have them fill in blanks. There's no virtue in that. There's no improvement. You might as well send them to school. You're going to get something that ignites passion in your kids. And that takes these young men and young women and turns them into someone who can defend principles of liberty, that can say not only what is in the Constitution, but they can quote you chapter and verse of why it's in the Constitution.
We could see light and truth in what we were hearing coming from Dr. Wolverton's classes. And light is discernible, truth, you can see it. And we knew we were going to be going into these best books and learning such important principles, timeless principles, and things that I felt God really wanted us to know. So it was important to us to invite Dr. Wolverton into our home and have these classes for our entire family.
So what we offer at amargigroup.com is we have 4 years of history curriculum, and all this is story-based. Your kids are going to want to watch, I guarantee you. Your kids are going to ask you to put these things on, right? As opposed to sit down, you have to study history. They'll be like, hey, can you fire up the history discussion? So you get world history, American history, the Constitution / American government, and then Founder's Recipe, which is the class wherein you read selections from the 37 most often quoted authors, most often quoted by the founding fathers. So those are the 4 lessons. You get access to those. Each of them comes with a little workbook, so you can kind of see in a written form what's being taught and why, and the principles and everything. And so you will get those workbooks. You'll get access to the videos. They'll be on demand, right? And we sell them as a package for the 4 years, or each year individually if you just want your kids to have American history or want them just to have world history or anything like that. And then we also will have available on-demand boutique classes, such as a class where, like Great Traditions, where we'll just read the ancient authors from Rome and Greece and that sort of thing. We'll have a class on the Iliad, which will be it's one of the favorite things I teach because there's so much applicable there. And so we'll have classes like that. But the 4-year history curriculum is the bread and butter, so to speak. World history, American history, Constitution, U.S. government, and the Founder's Recipe. And when you buy those, you get that class, the access to it online, on demand. We'll have an app available to you. You can, if you prefer to do it through a device. With that, something that's important to me is not to be detached from people I teach. And so we'll include time that you can actually live via Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, have a conversation with me for a certain amount of time for every class that you purchase, every subject that you purchase. And so you and the children will have time to question answer with me or clear things up or whatever, that sort of thing as well, which is important because most of the time you order curriculum and it comes in a box. Now make do, Mom. Well, that doesn't seem to solve many problems. And so in this, you don't have to just give them a book and say, fill in these blanks. You say, let's watch this. And and my hope is, and it's been proven, that they'll be hooked after the first one, and then all you have to do is just push play and be confident they're learning true things, and they're learning things that are not only true but inspirational and motivational.